A young boy recalls the events in the town he's from. Daniel tearfully drives in the rain. Suddenly, a car hits him. 3 months earlier, Daniel's mother sends him to his Aunt Barb for the summer. Since his father died, Daniel burned all the records his father left him in hopes of moving on. However, he only became more reclusive, putting a strain on his relationship with his mother. Soon, Daniel arrives in Hyannis, Massachusetts, a seemingly normal town. Unfortunately, among the townsfolk, Daniel didn't fit in since he was neither rich nor did he grow up there. Now even more isolated, he changed. At a party, Daniel tries to socialize but fails. He exits and sees a red Camaro. Hunter Strawberry then exits the vehicle, locks eyes, and winks at Daniel. According to the young boy, Hunter is the town's polarizing figure who sells weed and does reckless things. Nobody claims it, but everyone knows him and that he killed a man. In a store where Daniel works, Hunter suddenly asks him to hide a bag of weed. Though hesitant, he hides it in the register. The cop arrives, but Daniel tricks him by giving him a free drink. Impressed, Hunter takes Daniel to a party to get high, where Daniel whiffs the bong and falls down in complete bliss. Later, Daniel watches in a drive-in theater when suddenly, Michaela, who's every boy in town's dream girl despite all her ex-boyfriends ending up dead, enters the car after an argument with her boyfriend and asks Daniel to drive her home. The boyfriend approaches them, but Daniel drives away. While driving, Daniel makes her laugh and they exchange looks. They stop by her house, but after seeing her father inside, she doesn't exit the car. Daniel awkwardly tells her a joke, and she smiles, calling him dumb as she gets out. She asks his name, but doesn't let Daniel know hers. Ecstatic after their meeting, Daniel gets an asthma attack and relieves it with his inhaler. Later, Daniel tells Hunter about the girl that he met. Suddenly, he asks if he can start selling weed, but Hunter refuses if it's for getting girls. After asking Daniel where she lives, Hunter realizes the girl Daniel's talking about is his estranged little sister and tells him to never approach her, so Daniel accepts. Afterward, Daniel still insists on selling weed to relieve the police's pressure on Hunter, and Hunter finally yields. Later on, Hunter teaches him about the prices of the weed, and in the next month, the two sell weed in the town and 5 towns nearby. While driving on a highway, Sergeant Calhoun pulls Daniel over and intimidates him, like he always does newcomers. Later, a frantic Daniel tells Hunter about it, but he tries to calm him down and suggests he back out now. Undeterred, Daniel riles up Hunter and comes up with a new plan to make contact with a bigger supplier of weed. The two go to the supplier's house, and Daniel comes out to talk to him alone as their contact mentioned, while Hunter waits in the car. Inside the house, there's a party going on, and Daniel approaches the man, but he intimidates him, suspects Daniel's a narc, and tells him their contact didn't tell him Daniel was coming. As the man takes out his gun, Hunter bashes his head with a bottle from behind, takes the gun, and repeatedly beats his face with it, leaving him dead and bloodied on the ground. With the gun still in his hand, Hunter and Daniel leave quietly, shocked by what happened. Later, Daniel goes to a drugstore and meets Michaela again. She accuses him of following her, but he denies it. She approaches a completely entranced Daniel and tells her she's looking for Epsom salt. She takes the lollipop from his mouth, sucks on it, and gives it back to him, then leaves Daniel in awe. On his way home, a man named Dex exits a black car, stops Daniel, shows him they have Hunter in the vehicle, and asks him to come with them. Dex takes them into a cafeteria, tells them he knows them, and offers them 2 pounds of weed to sell over the next 2 days. He threatens them not to be late for the payment. Interested, Daniel asks for 5 pounds instead, to which Hunter reluctantly agrees. Later, Daniel assures Hunter that he has a plan and reconnects with his crazy cousin who's got a massive network of thieves, gamblers, hustlers, and lowlights in South Boston, and Daniel successfully sells the weed. Because of their good work, Daniel and Hunter soon increased their sales to 15 pounds a week, and they began earning tons of money. A few months later, Michaela is hanging out in the theme park with her friends when suddenly Daniel approaches her and gives her Epsom salt. Her friends make fun of him as he leaves, so he takes his inhaler, pauses, but decides not to use it. Brimming with newfound confidence, he turns around, takes Michaela, and kisses her in front of everyone. Suddenly, her boyfriend punches him as the fireworks explode. Later, Amy hangs out with her friends in a restaurant, and her friends tell her a good-looking guy, who just so happens to be Hunter, is staring at him from afar. Soon, Hunter approaches them and smooth talks Amy. Meanwhile, Daniel and Hunter watch The Terminator in the drive-in theater, but Daniel goes out to pee. Suddenly, he meets Michaela and her hostile friends, and they make fun of him. He goes to the bathroom, but Michaela follows her, corners him, kisses him passionately, then leaves. Later on, Daniel and Michaela become closer while Hunter and Amy go on a date in the theme park. In a restaurant, Hunter talks to Daniel about the guy he heard who kissed his sister in the theme park. He then tells Daniel that he's going to find him. Remembering his violent tendencies, Daniel freezes, but Hunter breaks into laughter to mock Daniel as gullible. Later, Daniel and Michaela hang out in the car and get high. Daniel tells her that he can get more weed, but she asks if he's caught up with anything shady and if he knows her brother. Daniel denies it, so Michaela shares that she became estranged from Hunter because he didn't fulfill their dying mother's wish to stop getting into trouble. When their mother died, Hunter sends money to Michaela, but she doesn't use it because she can't forgive him. Later, Hunter and Daniel become even more successful with their sales as Daniel breaks the news that they've sold nearly 250 pounds. The pair ended up getting wasted. Later, Hunter drops off Amy a ways from her house, and inside, Calhoun hears the Camaro and becomes suspicious. He checks Amy's room, but she gets there just in the nick of time and tricks him. Meanwhile, Daniel and Michaela hang out in the park, but it suddenly rains. They run for the car, telling each other that it's their first time, and have sex. Later, Daniel and Michaela are in the arcade. Michaela leaves to get more tokens when suddenly, Hunter and Amy arrive. When Michaela comes back, she pretends not to know Daniel, and so she leaves. Daniel comes after her later and tells her he met Hunter once at a party. Michaela warns him Hunter will kill him. Meanwhile, Amy comes home from a date with Hunter, but Calhoun is at the doorstep. Calhoun goes to Hunter's place and takes him out for a ride, then shows him Hunter's dad, who he used to be friends with, picking up a girl from a bar. Calhoun tells Hunter that sometimes a person's choices aren't always for themselves. Meanwhile, Daniel and Michaela hang out by the river. Daniel's about to say something, but Michaela interrupts him and tells him to wait until summer ends. In a meeting, Daniel tells Hunter about a guy in Portland who sells cocaine and that Dex doesn't know about it. Hunter tries to stop him, but Daniel is undeterred and leaves him. At night, Hunter visits Michaela and apologizes. She tells him to stop selling drugs, but he refuses, so she walks away. Desperate, Hunter yields to her demand. Later, Daniel goes to Hunter's shop, and Hunter confronts him about Michaela, but Daniel still lies. At Michaela's house, her father sees the large amount of cash sent by Hunter, so she argues with him and goes to Hunter's place. In the shop, Daniel hears a car pull up, so he opens the screen to see Michaela, who angrily drives away after seeing the two together. Daniel begs her to stop and chases after her. Later, Daniel meets with a cocaine dealer and hands him the payment. The dealer asks him to sniff the coke, but he hesitates, saying he'll leave soon. The dealer insists, so Daniel yields and says it's good stuff. Suddenly, the dealer reveals that what Daniel took wasn't cocaine, but baby formula. He takes Daniel's money, threatens him that he knows he works with Dex, and tells him to move someplace far. Later, Daniel receives a call from Dex, who just says he's heartbroken and slams the phone on Daniel. Frantic, Daniel gathers his things and drives away as a storm enters the area. Daniel tearfully contemplates how he got there. Hunter receives a call from Dex, stating that this is the end. Suddenly, Daniel knocks on Hunter's shop, but he points a gun at him, telling him to run and never come back. Daniel pleads, saying he wants to say goodbye to Michaela, but Hunter refuses, so Daniel drives away. Meanwhile, Michaela gets her things when suddenly she sees a photo. Dex arrives at Hunter's shop and threatens to shoot if he doesn't tell him where Daniel is. A stone-faced Hunter just leers and tells Dex he doesn't know. Dex tells him he had potential, but concludes that Hunter knew how it was going to end anyway. Hunter tells him off, so Dex shoots. Meanwhile, on the road, Daniel gets hit by a car. His memory of his mother flashed before him. Michaela looks at the photo of Hunter and her when they were kids. She goes to Hunter's shop, but finds him dead on the ground. She hears Dex's car outside and drives away. She follows him outside, stands in the downpour, and sees the car from afar. Meanwhile, Daniel crawls out of the wrecked car and goes to Michaela's room, where he finds the photo and breaks into tears. The young boy recalls the damage of the storm is over $1 billion. Hunter's body was discovered by Calhoun, and a funeral was held with only 4 people in attendance, including Amy and Calhoun. According to the young boy, rumors spread that Calhoun paid for the funeral and that he teared up a little during the funeral. The young boy recalls that after Daniel saw the photo in Michaela's room, he must have thought of leaving the town and the girl that he loved. He goes on to say that rumors claimed he ended up in Wyoming, Nevada, or an ill-forgotten town on the edge of the desert. But either way, he was never seen again. The young boy remembers seeing Michaela standing in the rain and feeling like the two of them will never be the same. He says Michaela left the town and was last seen alive in a diner outside Peoria, Illinois. He wonders if she got to where she wanted to go. He says he'll always wonder. So that's our recap of the 2017 drama crime film Hot Summer Nights. What do you think happened to Daniel and Michaela? Comment your answers down below, and of course, if you enjoyed the recap, leave a like for the video and subscribe to the channel, as well as hitting that notification bell so you don't miss out on any more content updates from us. You can also check out other video recaps here, and until the next time, we'll see you later.